So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our conjunction video of the week. And this week we're going to be covering Sun and Mars in the third house of your birth chart. As in what happens when Sun and Mars are conjunct in the third house. And if you do not know, if you have this particular conjunction, what sign it's in, what nakshatra it's in, all the other astrological details, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report in the shop section, including my books, consultations, and link to my academy, Vedic Astrology Academy, where I teach everything about astrology, including nakshatra, planets through nakshatras. So anyway, let's not waste time and let's start with this particular conjunction. So, first of all, what is the third house? Third house is the house of valor, meaning somebody who shows their strength and are not afraid of things. And usually you will see that mainly in athletes, fighters, sportsmen, soldiers. Third house also represents our skills. Our skills that kind of like show everybody our ego, our personality. Okay? So that's one thing. That's the other thing. Third house is also the house of media, arts, creativity, dramatic arts. It's a house of writing, house that represents internet connection. Okay? It represents social media, represents your neighbors, but specifically neighbor on the right side of your property. And third house is actually also known as a house of confinement. It's also the house that represents death and rebirth. Why death and rebirth? Because it's the 8th from the 8th. Bhavat Bhavam of the 8th house. And 8th house naturally is a house of death, rebirth, reincarnation, transformation. So naturally a person will, see that happening even in the third house. Usually it is said, and it's not even said, it has been proven, and I've seen this, malefics in the third house do extremely well for a person to get results from their efforts. Okay? And also third house is siblings, especially younger siblings. It's siblings in general, overall. So now you're putting Sun and Mars there. Two, first of all, very masculine planets, two very fiery planets. So what do we see here? One thing you will see is naturally one will have major fights in karma with their younger sibling, especially when it's a brother. And those fights will occur due to the fact father would support the brother more than you. Or brother will fight because of vice versa situation, but mainly we see that father will favor or like the younger sibling more. And this will create that competitiveness. There will always be competitiveness between the person and their younger sibling, and especially if Mars is combust. I suggest you always get a property where your neighbors are at least 50 to 100 yards away. This can create major, actually physical fights between people and their neighbors. You have two egos, because remember, third house is the border. It represents the borders. So if you see a country with malefic planets in the third house, they will always be at war. Like for example, India, Pakistan. Pakistan has, I think, many malefic planets in the third house, or even India has malefic planets in the third house. They'll always be in fight with the country that is right next to them. So even if, let's say, Pakistan wasn't there, then it would be India and Afghanistan getting into fight. So same thing, when we have borders, this is my country. My home is my country. And so my border is now in conjunct to the neighbor on the right side. So here, this particular situation will cause ego battles. Like, how dare you do this? Well, watch, I'm going to do that. And obviously a person, especially when such planets are sitting in air signs and fire signs. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I've seen every single sign. A person is going to be a natural athlete, will love, especially if Mercury somehow is involved in this conjunction, will love martial arts, kickboxing. But mainly this person wants to fight for something bigger than themselves. whether it's sports, whether it's fighting for the country. And the other thing we see is that whenever this person goes into media, or whenever they try to talk in media, like for example, like this is a source of media, they will be very aggressive, very strong with their opinions, with their message. They will never have like politeness. They'll be like, this is it, screw you all, F you all, this is my message, hear it or leave it. And yet they will still attract people who will love them, because they will love that type of a person, that masculine, egotistical nature who will not bow to anything or bow to anyone. So in a way, usually I see this with Pushya Nakshatra, with Mars and Pushya, Sun and Pushya, when they're together, a person becomes too hard-headed, fatalistic thinking, and too patriotic. So when you like blend the masalas of the nakshatras, you can literally see exactly what a person will do. And a person will most definitely attain technical knowledge, technical education. They cannot do anything in their life without attaining some kind of a technical education. So if you're, let's say, a psychologist, or you're a doctor, you're going to have some kind of a technical skills with you in order for you to perform your work. Also, your firstborn, whether it's a boy or girl, they'll be natural athletes. But one thing this also does, usually such people, you will notice they have shingles in the back of the ear. You know those fatty deposit or ingrown hair that happens in the side of the ear? You will see them a lot, especially on the right side. And like I said, even if you, let's say, don't have any siblings, because there's a strong chance you may not have any younger siblings because of the heat of the sun. Especially if it's a fire sign and Mars is there, a person may not actually have a younger sibling, but that will still cause dispute with the father, with you, due to either a neighbor or due to some cousin or due to leaking of some information. And one of the biggest things we see is that a person wants to put their own effort into doing everything. They want to be independent. Regardless of the sign and nakshatra, they want to be independent. Usually they like to even make money through their own effort. They want to do business, especially if you see a bunch of planets between the axis of 10th and 3rd house. And especially if 10th lord from the moon is in the 3rd house, you will see these people want to do business. And if, let's say, somebody's in media, acting, usually they'll pick roles like the mafia role, some tough guy role, some patriotic roles. And exactly which type of those roles, once you know the sign and nakshatra, I mean, it's beautiful how much information you can extract from it. Okay? And obviously shows that even your father would have been a great athlete and a great fighter. Whether he was a lawyer as a fighter, whether he was an athlete as a fighter, maybe he just got into physical fights when he was young. But you will see that happening, especially with fire and air signs. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of Sun and Mars conjunction in the 3rd house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss these videos, and click the bell button also. And if you want to know everything about your chart and all the planet replacements, check out the links here in the shop sections. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with Planets Through Ascendants. Bye-bye.